Welcome back to SnowRunner. When we last left off, I was having problems with a hill, so I brought another truck to help it up the hill. And hopefully, this will work. I'm also, even though I haven't really scouted it, going to go off to the left. Because I was looking at some of the angles as I was driving this over here from the garage, and I was like, does look like it could potentially tip. And so it may be better to do it that way. As for this road, it kind of looks like it winds its way up here, but it's on the wrong side of this. So while I theoretically could go up and over, although honestly you could argue that if I came, so what I'm going to have to do is come here, go down. I don't know if I can, because this was relatively tight because the other way you can go around besides the. Although you could argue if I'm just going to try, it doesn't look like it's crossable. And even if it is, the angle would be a problem, so it's probably safer to just come down and go down this way to get around it. And so that's what we're going to do. But first we got to get the PLAD in this trailer up this hill. Let's try it from here. Up. Of course this isn't going to be easy. Almost had it. See if we can. I was so disappointed that it couldn't make it up this hill. What? Oh, no. That was the sound of my controller disconnecting and then reconnecting. And that's why I started rolling backwards. It was as if I had let off the gas. Thankfully it reconnected, but that's what that was. No, not now. Look at that. Now this is great because it's shallower and not as steep. I should be able to get up without help. Yeah, I'm just afraid that if I follow this road back to the little garage, I'm just going to roll it on this little section. So I'm not going to even try that. I'm just going to see it. Oh, come on. Oh, this is so annoying. Why are you misbehaving, controller? There's the one. Out of an abundance of caution, I am not taking that corner. That just looks like it will hold me. And since we have a truck that's capable, we may be able to do it. I just need to realign up. If I try to take that angle, I'm probably getting the trailer stuck on the tree. Also, we probably need some fuel. The real question is, this tree to my left here destroyable? And did the developers prepare a surprise for anybody like me who was thinking about this? Hopefully it's just good on you for realizing that was a rollover hazard. But knowing the SnowRunner devs, you never know. And it looks like I'm going to have to stop here because I need fuel. And let's see if my fears were confirmed or if we're going to get across this without much of a problem. Had to bring in the Warthog and the fuel browser. And honestly, I want to see how it performs with the new 4-slot trailer too. Since the front of that shouldn't have conflict issues like a lot of the other trailers do with that crew cab. Which they hadn't made it a crew cab, then their idea of making a semi-trailer may have actually worked. Well, that if they had given an appropriate sized trailer and given it dual rears, they did neither of those things either, so I'm kind of interested because of the front design, if that's the case, if it's going to work. And also glad to see there wasn't a mud pit of doom waiting for me when I took this alternate path. So that's nice. Hopefully this gradient isn't too steep. And we'll be able to get there relatively without a problem. Then we'll bring the Warthog over to fill up the elephant, because that's the final part of this, is that you have to fuel it up. yeah, we need 5 liters short if I still have 200. I was gonna say, it couldn't be that easy. No, it isn't. So I am gonna have to bring the Warthog here. Let's give it some fuel from the PLAD. Yeah, that would only put us at 364 out of 80. So that was the Warthog was the second vehicle I brought in. The first one, yeah, things went wrong, but it's the AK. I shouldn't be surprised. I was just trying to check and see if this would be a good path. And honestly, from what I saw in this little area, even though it's not reflected in the map, it probably isn't. And then we went down right here. And oh, sorry, right here. And while this is doable, you do need to line up so you don't get caught on the non-breakable trees, and you could argue that doing this roadblock first may be a better idea. And I'm going to take the Warthog down this path because I'm curious. I also saw some tire tracks when I was driving by that may hint that this is a hidden path. We'll see with the Warthog. Oh, and I guess one other thing I'd mention here is I'm glad there wasn't a mud pit here, because I feel like if they were designing maps the way they did it more, there would be a mud pit here, because they'd expect somebody to take a mission trailer like that coil trailer through this area with something like a 4-OB or a 605R or the PLAD that I use. So I'm glad to see that that isn't the case here. And the other thing I'd point to is I suspect that same thinking, and to make it more difficult to unlock the PLAD, is what got us the mud that's right here, which in my opinion wouldn't be a problem if you could clear or partially clear this, but since you can't, it's really annoying, and it hurts the other trucks that are trying to do other contracts and tasks, so not really a fan. So I'm glad to see that potentially we won't have to worry about that with here in Season 15 Quebec, but I haven't even stepped foot in, what is the other map's name? I haven't even stepped foot in Lake Riviere, which I think is probably where I'm going to have to go to get the service spare parts for that roadblock. Or maybe there's something I just haven't done. As for how you get there, you can get there here because this gateway is open from the beginning. And I believe there's one other gateway. I want to say it's here that's open. But as you can see, this third gateway is locked, and I don't know exactly what I need to do yet to unlock it. here we are. We just have to refuel this and that into the elephant. And there you go. So, thank you for watching.